In part 1, we have analyzed the enticing title of Blue Zones and its promise. And we have seen that it is not a clear cut, and even the conclusions of the researchers are off or biased. In part 2, we have demonstrated the difficulty of longevity and Blue Zone theories by presenting and analyzing various communities which behavior negates the theories, yet they still reach long life, and thus not being able to establish and conclude any direct relationship between longevity and the set of variables believed to be influential. In this part, we will just throw hints and ideas to what may seem to be some of the most influential factors, not in any order, not backed up by any precise research, and without establishing a rank to the importance of each one. This is just an inventory list for parameters each one of you already knows. Surely you can make your own mix, toss, shake, and serve. In the end, when leading with human behavior and cultures and lifestyles, it is not an exact science. Please note that in no way I tell you not to practice any of these healthy habits research promote. On the contrary, do your best, but the longevity factor is not that simple, clear-cut. Do this and that and you will achieve this and that. Human life is an intricate maze, and in my opinion, life will never find out for real. In the next chapter, which is part number 4, we will bring real-life examples of centenarians and long-lived people, just to get some tangible illustrations. So for longevity, which seems to be the important set of attributes, and I mean other than the set of your own genes and life destiny, things that are not in your control and are given, and we cannot control them much, if at all. Note that naturally, we cannot isolate just one factor to see how the influence of this one alone. In those blue zones, several various factors come to play together, and we don't know yet the specific impact of each one. So let's bring up some of the important aspects. We'll start with climate. Who knows? I still for moderate climate. In the past, researchers relate moderately cold temperature to increased longevity. This is not exactly the climates of the blue zones, where climates are far more moderate. Conversely, extreme climates don't seem to favor centenarians. But this could be also affected by the living conditions there and not necessarily the temperatures. Economical power. There is positive correlation between lifespan and recorded in countries and communities in general to the economical power, but maybe not in direct proportion and not on an individual base. Also in part 2, I brought up examples of which contradict the direct relationship between wealth and lifespan. Most blue zones cannot be categorized as wealthy places. Wealthier countries tend to fare better, but not necessarily. You can see for yourself countries' lifespan tables that less wealthy countries can lead ahead of more wealthy ones. Wealthier communities in large tend to be better, but again, it's not conclusive. Some inferior socioeconomic classes achieve better results. With individuals, maybe the one who live in quieter places have more access to quality organic food and more open to medical news and treatments can do better. But again, what is better than living in nature? with no means, but in nature, rural areas with less of the urban technological stresses, and grow your own clean food. Relaxed lifestyle. Live with ease, reduce stress, increase movement, be in nature. I think it's always correct. Diet. Diet is true to a certain extent, not conclusive though. Besides, what do we know about diet? The best diet is certainly to be changed. The food pyramid changed. The health ingredients changed. The way we eat and when we eat have changed. Until just recently, the medical authorities push towards more carbs and less fat. Only that recently health professionals tell us that it's all on the reverse. Fats, meaning good fats, are beneficial for you and grains and carbs are out. Right. Everything changed in just a brief moment. Would we like to believe that famous Mediterranean diet in some of the blue zones includes grains and carbs, which now health experts contradict these days. Okinawa eat rice. Same thing. Many gurus will ditch the rice. Okay, in Okinawa the emphasis is more on sweet potatoes. Is sweet potatoes the answer to longevity? You decide. Community and social structure. Always. Loving family, good friends, supporting community always seem to be helpful. It sounds coherent, yet again it's not conclusive. Marriage is a factor that's always considered to be increasing longevity. Yet you can figure out yourself that most centenarians lost their spouse early on, and yet they reached a long life on their own. So maybe the lack of a spouse is the secret to longevity. What did Socrates say about marriage? By all means marry. If you get a good wife, you'll be happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. Genes. To my opinion, this is always, and it is the most important factor. Live with a purpose. Absolutely yes. Seems to be one of the most significant factors. Some aspects of diet. Alcohol consumption. Who knows? It's not conclusive, even in moderation. Some support it and some negate it. I personally can't abandon the daily glass of quality red wine. Coffee consumption, many promote it. It's fine with me, coffee is great, only that there are few reasons not to overdo it. You decide how many cups are good for you and where is the nearest bathroom, and how many hours of night good sound sleep you plan for. Vegetarian or vegan diets, and with no meat, poultry, fish consumption whatsoever. Some experts promote the healthy Mediterranean diet and mention that it's low on meat. Great. But it's high on grains. And there are many gurus who now promote the opposite. Go paleo, go on keto, reduce carbs, high on flesh and fats, go figure. I myself have no clue, probably like most all of you. From the health sense of being a vegetarian, and that is not the environmental health and animal welfare concerns. There are pros and cons. I'm not taking any stance here. The stats of longevity do not conclusively show any concrete favor to any side. Attempts to establish any relationship between mortality and vegetarian diets have led to mixed results. Maybe the answer of all these food inquiries is in moderation, though What is moderation? What exactly in moderation? Nobody really knows. How did Oscar Wilde say? Everything in moderation, including moderation. What's more, the 21st century's causes of premature death, such as cardiovascular diseases and issues, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer, et al. We don't know yet for sure and conclusively, and we just don't know the cause and effect, sorry. And not to forget that probably the third leading cause of death in the US could actually be titled as medical errors in hospital and other medical facilities. It's sad, but it is true. If you're a young male, try not to die prematurely from accidents, homicides, work-related injuries, thrill-seeker incidents, or from doing anything possible to kill yourself. And if you wish for there is another factor, then it's your own karma, serendipity, luck, your own bullet, whatever you wish to call it. Note that in the past we had a set of environmental, cultural, and social issues that affected life expectancy adversely. I don't think we need to bring them up for this discussion, as most have faded away completely, at least in the developed world. Parameters such as high infant mortality, women death at labor, infectious diseases, epidemics, hard labor burden, poor hygiene, unclean water, emperors, conquest and slavery, limited access to food and nutrition, and so on and so on. We take the medical advancement as a given in the developed world of the third millennia, and we will just mention the other variables that can be controlled to a certain extent. Of course, wars are still part of human nature, and their destruction is only getting more severe. And so, community is super important. Diet is red wine, debatable. But those may not be the most crucial factors. Take Loma Linda, California, that could have the community factor and religion, faith. But if I take a 55 plus senior community I visited in Miami, I may have come to other conclusions or deviating conclusions. I met there many people well in their 80s and 90s, all vibrant, active and vigorous. The amount of religious people there was about zero. Is Freud considered to be a blue zone? Not by itself, only that all the people flock there, but they don't have much in common in their ethnicity, diet, or habits. Back to Loma Linda, California, it is mentioned as one of the examples of how religion offers one of the most source of social connection in the blue zones. The quote is that people in Loma Linda, California are mostly Seventh-day Adventist. Religious practice also offers some purpose of life and offer solace during upset, which together are thought to add between 1 to 5 years to the believer's life expectancy. That's bad news for atheists, right? So nobody can argue with this, and that it's all probably true and important for one emotional well-being and good life. But what makes the religious people of Loma Linda, California any different from any other religious communities? If you take US southern zone, there are many devoted religious communities there, which they don't get any significant extended longevity. What is the difference then? Is it the Seventh-day Adventist, like Jewish Orthodox communities, who also exhibit longer life, keep the Sabbath, that is Saturday, the seventh day, of the week as a holiday. Could this may be the key to longevity? You go figure. I'm not here to promote any cultural way of living, only to bring up the arduous queries based on the findings. In any case, in section part 4 of this presentation, you can observe more than few examples of centenarians living with no connection to religion. In Nicoya, they point out that the simplicity of life and the plan de vida is a positive reason to live. It's great. But when interviewed one of the centenarians there, he simply stated that for himself, he isn't sure why he is living for more than a century. Complicated answer for him. God is the one to decide, he said, the villagers said. In other words, it is the karma, no special measures of lifestyle. Before I state my humble opinion to what I think may influence longevity, I have first to admit to the universe and accept there are ample of hidden forces, life forces. In that sense, we can find a fountain of youth. We have to accept it. B, our genes play a big role. C, serendipity or karma plays a big role. Each one has her luck written. D, the connection mind-body stamina is undeniable. E, there may be some other forces that drive us and drive the world, which we have not mastered yet. Time was when people believed that the world is a flat disk, and that was okay for that era. But longevity at large is hard to pinpoint. Who am I to tell? Thousands of smart scientists all around the world have not yet reached a consensus regarding the causes, effects, and how to master it. And here are to the list of my observations the aspects that matter. Maybe. In general, eating moderately with plenty of fruit and vegetables, exercising and moving around, drinking water, coffee and tea, finding space for spiritual solace, whether that's a church, meditation, or mountain walk, being connected to nature, being connected to people, laughing a lot and taking things easy. These are all things that are beneficial to incorporate on a daily basis. Diet, regimens, ingredients that count. Fresh, organic and local, if possible. Portion control. Timing the eating into 1/2 or 1/3 of the 24-hour period day. Reducing or eliminating any processed food, reading the labels carefully. Healthy living habits, healthy sleeping habits and sufficient sleep. Nature, connected to nature, control sun exposure. Giving thanks, awe and reverence for the miracle of life to the higher powers than yourself. Faith, you name it. It's not necessarily a formal religion. Morality, connected to the life-old moral codes engraved in you. Moving around, physical movement, not necessarily going to the gym, dance, swim, walk, stand up. For males, being a man, and you know what it means. Social connections, family connection, friends one can trust and have confidence. Simplicity, reducing stress, embrace the day, seize the moment. It's another day in your account. Reducing exposure to toxins in your home, food, personal care products, or toxic relationship. Environmental aspects, reducing pollution, toxic, noise, EMF. believing in oneself. And finally, ask yourself, have I lived? Every man dies, not every man really lived. It's not always the number of years that counts, it's what you do with these years. As far as the dietary regimens, it still seems that nothing is conclusive. What was right 10 years ago is no longer valid. The food pyramid has changed. We can't really conclude from the different dietary regimens around the world to what increased longevity. Those blue zones, they eat completely different foods, yet they reach the same results. Take the Mediterranean diet, for example. It still promotes grains and carbs. Nevertheless, now researchers ditch the fat as the villain and put the grains as the villain. Only that, I have yet to meet a Greek who does not like his pita gyros, and an Italian who does not like his pasta in pane dishes. Only that both, at least in Sardinia and Icaria, are claiming to have that ample amount of the centenarians. So maybe it is not the diet. Which diet to swear by? Your guess is good as mine. Stay tuned. I'm here only to point out the shortcomings, these plain and crude theories. I still think that the world and its forces is much more complex and intricate. And lastly, how old am I? I don't know. I'm a function of my mental age, my chronological age, my brain health, my outlook of life, the elasticity of my arteries, the amount of inflammation in my body, the age of my peers and friends, my desire to complete more missions, the accumulated amount of free radicals in my body, the amount of wear and tear in my joints, the health of my brain synapse transmitters, the health of my memory chip, my genes heritage, my connection to community and nature, my family, the sum of my aspirations divided by the sum of my memories. Many factors, they need to be combined into one complicated formula. In short, my friends, the secret of life is not for us to know, and the fountain of youth may never be found. As for now, it is safe to assume that the reasons for longer lives for individuals in those blue zones are not merely related to lifestyles they maintain in those quoted places, the blue zones, or in any other parts of the world. It is an elaborated equations. You can assuredly relate to some of my real-life examples I brought in the next video. Please see the following video part 4 by clicking here and or by the link supplied below.